I married the man everybody wanted, and I became miserable in private.
I married the man everyone wanted, but I was miserable in private. Please hide my identity. I am a woman in my 30s, and this happened over the course of 5 years. From the outside, my life looked perfect. I was married to a handsome, successful man. He was well-spoken, respected, and admired by almost everybody who knew him. Women loved him. Men respected him. Families used to point at us and say, "That is a good marriage." But what people saw in public was very different from what I lived in private. Let me call him David. I met David when I was tired of struggling. Not just financially, emotionally too. At that time in my life, I wanted peace. I wanted stability. I wanted a man who looked serious, responsible and ready. David was all of that. He was calm. He dressed well. He spoke gently. He had a good job. He came from a decent family. He knew how to present himself. When he started pursuing me, everybody encouraged me. My friends said, "You're lucky." My aunties said, "This one looks like husband material." Even my mother relaxed when she met him. And honestly, I relaxed too, for the first time. I felt like maybe life was finally giving me something easy. He did not stress me when we were dating. He did not disappear. He did not play games. He called when he said he would. He showed up. He looked intentional, so when he proposed, I said yes without fear. That was the beginning of my mistake. The first few months of marriage were fine. Not magical, just fine. Then little things started changing. David became more controlling, but in ways that were hard to explain. He would not shout. He would not insult me openly. Instead, he would correct me all the time. If I spoke too much in public, he would say, "You don't have to talk so much." If I laughed too loudly, he would say, "You are a married woman now." If I wore something he did not like, he would say, I thought married women carried themselves differently. At first, I thought he was just trying to guide me. I adjusted, then the adjustments increased. He started choosing what events I should go to. He wanted to approve what I posted online. He did not like some of my friends. He said some of them were too free and would spoil my mind. Slowly, my life became smaller. But because he was still calm and respectable, it was hard to call it abuse. Even to myself, that is how many women stay trapped. Not because they do not feel pain, but because the pain does not always come wearing a name. The real problem started when I lost my job. That season changed the power in our marriage. Before then, I still had my own money. Not plenty, but enough to feel like myself. After I lost my job, David became the main provider. And that was when his real character came out. He did not deny me food. He did not leave me on the street. No, he did something more dangerous. He started making me feel like every single thing I needed came from his mercy. If I asked for money, he would ask questions with a tone that made me regret asking. If I bought something small, he wanted to know why. If I sent money to my mother, he would say, "So now I'm feeding your whole family." I became ashamed of my own needs. Imagine being in your own home and feeling guilty for existing. That was my life. The worst part was that in public, he was still wonderful. At church, he was kind. At family events, he held my hand. At weddings, people admired us. Online, he posted me on my birthday with beautiful captions. People thought I was blessed. I started to feel like I was going mad. How could one person be so loved outside and so heavy to live with inside? Then came the emotional neglect. David was physically present, but emotionally unavailable. If I cried, he became irritated. If I tried to explain my feelings, he would say I was too emotional. If I said I felt lonely, he would remind me of all he was doing for me materially. That was his favorite defense. "What else do you want? I'm taking care of you." But provision is not the same as love. A roof is not intimacy. Paying bills is not tenderness. And many women know this pain too well. You can be provided for and still feel abandoned. Years went by and I became quieter. People said marriage had made me mature. No, marriage had made me careful. I had learned that peace in my house depended on how small I could make myself. Then one day, I saw messages on his phone. At first, I was not even looking for anything. His phone lit up while he was in the shower. The message said, "I miss yesterday already." My whole body went cold. I opened it. It was another woman, not only another woman, a younger woman. The messages were intimate, playful, and familiar. This was not a new thing. This had been going on for a while. When I confronted him, he did not even panic the way I expected. He sat down and said, "If you were less difficult to live with, I would not need distractions." That sentence changed me forever, because in that moment, I understood something. Some people do not just hurt you, they make you carry the blame for the hurt too. I cried that night like someone had died. Maybe because something had. The image of my marriage died. The image of him died. The image of myself as the admired wife died too. And still I stayed. That is the part people from outside never understand. They ask, "Why didn't you leave immediately?" Leave and go where? With what money? With what confidence? With what support? With what explanation to people who thought I had the perfect husband? So I stayed. And I became emptier. He apologized, but not with real remorse. More with annoyance, like he was apologizing because he had been caught, not because he had broken something precious. After that, our marriage became colder. He was no longer trying to hide his contempt. I was no longer trying to act blind. Then the final blow came from somewhere I never expected. His mother, one afternoon, after another argument, she called me and said, "My son was not like this before he married you. Maybe you should ask yourself what kind of wife you have been." I almost laughed because it was so cruel. It became unreal. Imagine carrying pain quietly for years, only to be told you caused it. That day, something in me finally stood up, not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly. I started planning. I looked for work quietly. I started saving small amounts secretly. I told one trusted friend the truth. Not everything, just enough, and for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to imagine leaving. That imagination felt like oxygen. When I finally got a job offer in another city, I did not even celebrate. I just stared at the email and cried. I knew that was my door. When I told David I wanted a separation, do you know what shocked me? He acted surprised. This man who had ignored me, reduced me, cheated on me, and blamed me acted like he had no idea I was unhappy. That is another lesson. Some people get so comfortable with your silence that they mistake it for satisfaction. He begged. He cried. He promised change, but by then, I was gone inside. I had stayed until I could no longer hear myself in that marriage. And when a woman reaches that point, begging usually comes too late. We separated quietly, then later divorced, and suddenly, people started talking. Some said I was proud. Some said I left a good man. Some said modern women do not endure. Some said I was ungrateful because he was taking care of me. Part hurt, but not enough to make me go back. Because for the first time in years, I could breathe without fear of being corrected. For the first time in years, I could buy something without feeling guilty. For the first time in years, I could laugh without monitoring how loud I sounded. For the first time in years, I felt my own spirit returning to me. That was when I understood. Peace is expensive, but not as expensive as staying where your soul is dying. Today, when people tell me, "But he looked like such a good husband," I just smile because appearance is one thing. Private life is another. I learned that a man being admired in public does not mean he is safe in private. I learned that being chosen is not the same as being cherished. And I learned that some marriages do not end because women are too weak to stay. Some marriages end because women finally become strong enough to leave.